Okay, you're going to learn something again in this video here. We're going to work on elimination again. And here's your two equations, finding x and y. Negative 9x plus 4y equals negative 17. 9x minus 6y equals 3. So there they are. Pause the video if you need to get them down. And you need to solve for your x and y, both of them. So, obviously I don't have that base variable by itself, so there's no base, so I need to use the elimination method. The elimination method, first saying for later, this is for later, I'm going to write down the first equation. You can write the first or the second. I usually go with the first. Okay. Now, you organize your x's and y's into columns, okay, and that's pretty well done. Your wall kind of makes a column unto itself. Then you're going to add and see if either the x's or the y's add to 0. So negative 9 plus 9, is that going to make the x's add to 0? I think it will because I'm adding opposites of the same thing. So I'm good. I write the 0x down. Now I go add the rest of the columns. You're always adding. So I take 4, that's a negative 6, plus negative 6, negative 2y. So plus negative 2y. And then I take negative 17 and plus 3. Negative 14. Now why is that so important we get a 0? Well, because if a letter becomes 0, it's out. Okay? And the plus is out. So now we make a wall and we just put a dot and we just can divide. Negative 2 times y equals negative 14. We divide by negative 2. And y ends up being equal to 7. So we have our y. We have our answer for y. Now to find x, this is why we wrote that equation. Now the 7 replaces the y. And I need to take 4 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28. So we got negative 9x plus 28 equals negative 17. And now I can solve for x. Times negative 9 plus 28. So we minus 28 from each side. So negative 17, take away 28 is negative 45. If you already had a negative and you take away from it, well, it just gets deeper into the negatives. Okay, x equals 5. So 5, 7 is the solution. Okay, example 2. There's 6 total examples in this video. Negative 3x minus y equals 8, and then 7x plus y equals negative 12. So negative 3x minus y equals 8, 7x plus y equals 12. You don't have a base letter you can use, okay? So no base. So you need to use this new method we're going over here. So use your first equation, negative 3x minus y equals 8. You can slap a 1 and plus negative, what you think you need to. That one has to be plus negative. You want to make that, if you know that that's negative 3 without doing that, that's fine. Okay, now organize your x's and y's into columns, and we're going to add. So let's talk about the x's. So we got negative 3 plus 7. I don't think that adds to 0. Now try your y's. Don't write that down until you know. Don't start writing crap down until you know either the x's or y's come to 0. These are 1's. Okay. You got a negative 1 and a positive 1. Usually those add to 0 when I'm adding a negative and a positive of the same value. Yep, they do. So there's my 0. 0y. Now the rest of it I add. That was 4. And then I take 8 plus negative 12. Negative 4. Okay, 0y takes out the y, and we have 4 times x equals negative 4. So I divide by 4, and x equals negative 1. So we have negative 1 for x, now we got to solve for y. Well, that's what I wrote this down for. Negative 1 now goes in for x. X should not be there anymore. So we're taking a negative 3 times a negative 1, which is 3. And adding negative 1y equals 8. Now I can solve for y pretty easily. Okay, take out your 3 minus 3. That's 5. divided by negative 1. And 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. Negative 1, negative 5 is the answer. Okay, my next problem. 2x minus y equals 7. And 2x plus 7y equals 32. Okay, well, how is it structured? Well, I can't use a base variable, so I'm going to write the first equation down. Put a 1 with a plus negative, and that's going to be that. Now I organize them into columns, okay? And either the x's or the y's have to add to 0. Okay, if I take 2 plus 2, that's 4. And if I take a negative 1 plus a 7, that sure as heck ain't 0, that's 6. So what do we do if nothing adds to 0? The x's or the y's? Give up? I don't think so. Okay. Mark a column, either the x or y column, where you have the exact same term right there. And that's good because all I need to do now is change one of the equations to its opposite. Let's do the bottom. So negative 2, negative 7, and negative 31. Those are all positives. To make them opposite, they all go negative. Now, here's why I do that. Because if I go 2 plus negative 2, that's 0. Okay? If I have the same thing and just make one of them opposites, that's fine. But then I need to make one of the other ones. So there I'll get 0x. Okay, negative 1 plus negative 7 is negative 8y. And then I take 7 plus negative 31, that's negative 24. So, 0x is gone, and then you have negative 8 times y equals negative 24. So we divide each side by negative 8, and y equals 3. Write the correct letter down, that's y. So 3 for y. Now to find our x, 3 goes in for y right here. And then I'll find x. Of course, I need to multiply negative 1 times 3. That's negative 3 equals 7. So take your negative 3 to 0 by adding 3. So 2 times x equals 10. Then divide by 2, and x equals 5. 5, 3. Okay, example 4, we have 6x plus y equals negative 10, and then 5x plus y equals negative 10. Okay, obviously we don't have a base we can use because I don't have the x or y by itself. Okay, so we don't need it by itself because there's this whole nother method that we can learn. 6x plus 1y equals negative 10. I'm just putting a 1 in front of that y for later. Then make your columns, those are 1s, and then write add. Okay, 6 plus 5 is 11, that doesn't make 0. 1 plus 1 is 2, that doesn't make 0. I don't care if that does. Okay, that's not going to help me. It's either x's or the y's. So, do I have the same, a column that has the same thing? Yes, I do right there. So if I just make that second equation into its opposite, then I'll have these y's added to 0. So negative 5, negative 1. If it's negative 10, the opposite's positive 10. Okay? Okay, 1 plus negative 1, now that gives me my 0, because if you should know that. If you have a positive and a negative of the same value, adding them takes it to 0. Now, 6 plus negative 5 is 1x. Negative 10 plus 10 is 0, okay? That's okay. Now, you need to put the 0, you need to keep the 0 there, but this 0y takes that out, okay? So 1 times x equals 0, divide by 1. 0 divided by 1 is 0, so I guess x equals 0. Okay. Now, 0 goes in for x. Guys, 6 times 0 is not 6, it's 0. Okay. Plus 1y equals negative 10 minus 0. Minus 0 would still be negative 10. Really, that 0 is kind of useless, but whatever. Divide by 1. Negative 10 divided by 1 is negative 10. So you can't get really freaked out. And yes, that's a graph. You can get 0 for an answer. Okay, last two. X plus 2y equals 2, negative x plus 3y equals 13. Okay, I'll write. Show it for some people who are writing it down. X plus 2y equals 2, negative x plus 3y equals 13. Now, I don't have an x or a y by itself, okay? Those x's are not by themselves. I made the wall. There's more than just an x. There's more than just an x. That's a whole expression. So you're not going to be able to use your base substitution, okay? So write down your again, just use a top one to be consistent, okay? That's for later. Now organize your columns because the equals are over the top. Now if they're not lined up, that's a problem, but we haven't seen that happen yet, so let's not worry about it. 1s, 2, 3, 2, 13. Now I think right there those are opposite, a positive and a negative of the same number, so we know that those add to 0 by now. 0x. 2 plus 3 is 5y. 2 plus 13 is 15. So the 0x means the x is dropped, so is that plus sign. 5 times y equals 15. We just need to divide by our 5, and y equals 3. Now, to find x, 3 goes in for y right here. Okay, you can put an x here if you want. So 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so we got 1x plus 6 equals 2. Now I can solve for x. Remember, it's not 6y. Y is gone. Okay, vanished. Out. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Divide by 1, and x equals negative 4. So negative 4, 3 is the solution. Okay, last one. 3x minus 4y equals negative 16. Then we have x minus 4y equals negative 40. Alright, so obviously I don't have a base. Okay, I do not have a base anywhere. So I'm using the elimination. So 3x plus negative 4y equals negative 16. Okay, that's for later. Now we go up this and organize it into columns. 3x and 1x, negative 4y, negative 4y, and then negative 16, negative 40. Now, we either need to get a 0 here or here. Well, you're not going to get one there. Now, you're not going to get one there either. Remember, for them to add to 0, they got to be opposites. 2 negatives doesn't make 0. 2 negatives are the same thing. But I at least have the same. If I can't get either that or that to 0, then I see if I have the same. We have the same right there. I just need to make one of them positive. Okay? Bottom. Then you have to go through and make everything opposite. So the opposite of 1 is negative 1. Opposite of negative is positive. Opposite of negative is positive. So 3 plus negative. So I know that that makes 0. When you have a positive 4 and a negative 4, it's 0. Okay. 3 plus negative 1 is 2x. And then negative 16 and 40 is positive. So I add 40 is 24. Okay, 0y, you're out. Okay. You can't have a 0 and expect to stay in there. So divide by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12, so x has a value of 12. Then 12 goes in for x. Remember, put it in for the right letter. You can clearly see that's below x. Okay, so 3 times 12 is 36, plus negative 4y equals negative 16. And now I can easily get my answer for y. Okay, take your 36 out of there, so minus 36. So, negative 4 times y, and then I take negative 16 minus 36, I get negative 52. Okay. So you divide by negative 4. Negative 52 divided by negative 4 is 13. Okay.